Thanks. Do you ever think that you're losing your creativity? Or that suddenly you're losing all your capability of imagination? Well, I sometimes do. And I still remember when I was little, I believed I could be anything at any time, everywhere. However, right now, I don't really see myself with those same levels of creativity. I remember I would take a branch from the floor and suddenly I was a pirate. Hello everyone, my name is Sancho and I'm going to be talking to you about the endless possibilities of life, which dreaming enables. Believing in your goals and in yourself to infinity and beyond opens the doors to the infinite possibilities of your life. You must keep dreaming in yourself and in your goals. Now, I don't want to say that while you're asleep, you must dream. We do not control our sleep. What I want to say is that you must believe in your goals, believe to infinity and beyond. Our capacity to believe in our impossible goals is linked with our capacity of imagination, which relates to our creativity. In an article published by BMC Geriatrics, a healthcare journal, they said that research shows that we tend to decrease as we age. The cognitive performance, the skills of the mind, tend to decrease, and therefore creativity also decreases as we have higher age. So it has been proven that as we age, we lose our capability of imagination, and we simply do not dare anymore to keep dreaming, to keep believing in ourselves. We succumb to the boring monotony of day-to-day life. So, this is why my talk has the main purpose of encouraging you all to keep believing in yourself and in your goals. But why does this happen? The simple answer: knowledge. As we grow up, we gain knowledge and obtain and collect forms of knowledge. However, it has been proven that the more we know, the harder it is to see things differently, because we get locked into our old ways of thinking. And it's natural, because if I know that if I put my hand over fire, I know it's going to burn. That's why I don't do it. We are practical about it. What I want to say is, you must believe in yourself and keep imagining and keep exploring other points of view. To quote Einstein, he once said that imagination was more important than knowledge. Unfortunately, as our schools have put a premium on knowledge and teach on a repetition of the basis on repetition of facts, which is not ideal if we want to improve our capacity of imagination. In fact, studies show that 98% of 5-year-olds test as highly creative, while only 2% of adults do. A simple example of this is that children believe that they can be anything when they grow up. From a pirate to a police officer, from a doctor to an astronaut. While us, teenagers and young adults, have a harder time to choose our career path. And why is that? We do not believe in ourselves anymore. Returning to our example of the astronaut, our thoughts would be: first, I must be very good at physics and maths. Then, I must get very good grades. Then I must get into a very good university. Then I must apply to an astronaut organization. Then only if they take me, I must still complete a very difficult and harsh training. However, all these ideas and predictions get into your head, not letting us think properly. And suddenly we find out that we are giving up on our dream because we do not dare to, there are so many steps that we must take that we do not dare to go forward. Yes, it is more realistic than saying, I'm going to be an astronaut. However, these thoughts get into your head and suddenly we are giving up on our dream. So we must learn to let go of these negative thoughts, which are created by our knowledge and predictions, and start trying to go with life and trying to risk more, not limiting the possible extent of our dreams. It is always worth it. Without taking any risk, there comes no reward. The biggest risk is not taking any risk. Now, some people know about this, that creativity is affected by our knowledge. Others don't. Whether consciously or unconsciously, some people tend to embrace their knowledge and others embrace their creativity. This leads to the segregation and polarization of two different types of mindsets or type of thinkers. The first one, realistic thinkers, which are those who embrace their knowledge, and the second one, idealistic thinkers. In life, where ideas often collide, these two mindsets, they present a very interesting conflict in our thoughts, decisions, and actions. But we must try and learn to balance these two mindsets into one, so we can keep dreaming without taking any big risks. So before going on to how we can balance these two personalities into one, I want to take a look at both personalities so we know what we're talking about. First, we'll start with the realistic mindset. The realistic mindset are those who have a more critical point of view on reality. They tend to follow a very well-ordered thought process for each thought and argument. Their mindset is based on practicality and rationality. However, when thinking of their dreams, they often restrict themselves too much. They do not let their dreams expand as big as possible, their goals, their targets. Now, idealistic thinkers are practically the opposite. They think based on their desires and emotions rather than on reasoning, and tend to go for it, and because of their visionary outlook. However, it can end up be very risky, also depending on the situation, of course. But they tend to get in difficult situations if they don't pay attention. Now, each mindset have their advantages and they have their disadvantages. And these strengths and weaknesses, they vary with each circumstances. For example, when starting a big project like creating a company, a realistic thinker would start by assessing the different outcomes based on evidence and the facts they have. This leads to more effectiveness because they know what they have to do. It gives them a clear idea of what needs to be done. Idealistic thinkers will start by getting inspired, which fuels their motivation and inspires others to aspire towards their goals. This leads to more original and creative ideas. Now, starting a big project, such as creating a company, can end up being risky. In this example, it can get you in a difficult situation economically. Well, idealistic thinkers tend to be the ones who create this difficult situation, while realistic thinkers respond very well to this difficult situation. They can adjust and adapt their strategies depending on their circumstances. So this will maximize the effectiveness and relance the project. Another big factor when creating a company or starting a big project is the reason of wanting to do it. For realistic thinkers, they will only do it if they see any benefit in it, while idealistic thinkers, they are driven by the desire of wanting to make a change. So this fuels their motivation and others, and the motivation of others, and also this gives them a sense of purpose because they want to make a change. Which promotes equality and the progression of society. As we have seen, both mindsets have their disadvantages and disadvantages. The contradiction between these two, are manifested in personal, professional, and social aspects of life. But in life, we must learn to balance these two mindsets into one. We must learn to restrict ourselves, but not too much, so we can push our boundaries as far as possible towards our goal and dream. How do we find this balance? How do we find it? Well, the key to finding the balance between these two is, instead of viewing these two mindsets as adversarial, we view them as complementary. They support each other's. Knowing this, there are three steps we must take to achieve this balance. The first step, set realistic goals with aspirational elements. So, you set realistic targets to yourself, which also we combine it with ambitious targets. So these ambitious targets will keep you motivated because it's what we're going for, it's what we want to do, while these realistic targets will assure us that we can accomplish these things. The second, practice reflective thinking. So every day, stop. The day has ended, you're about to go to bed. Think what you've done, what you could have done. Think about your thoughts, about what you could have thought. Think of your decisions, your actions. What could have been your decisions, what could have been your actions. And relate this with each mindset. How each mindset has affected your thoughts, decisions, and actions. This will give you a clear idea of how each mindset helps you the most in each situation. And then, of course, flexibility. Be flexible. Adapt your mindset to the circumstances. When practicality and rationality is needed, embrace your knowledge. Embrace that realistic mindset. When you need to get creative and be original, embrace the idealistic mindset. Embrace your creativity, your capacity of imagination. Be flexible, because with circumstances it might change. To conclude this talk, I want to stress to you the importance of believing in yourself, in your goals, in everything. Believe you can. Life goes fast. We have to learn to take action and go forward. Because for many people, life is priceless. That's why they say money is time. Knowledge is the one that keeps you from being creative, because we do not lose our creativity. Creativity never disappears. We have it in ourselves. It's just knowledge which keeps it from emerging. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt. So never forget to believe in yourself, in your goals, in your dreams. Dreaming to infinity and beyond is essential for the path to success. Always keep dreaming. That's the name of my talk. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.